What's up, guys?
Hooty hoo.
Hey, George.
Hooty hoo! Run for cover, mother beep!
I like your outfit, kid.
Thank you.
I like your outfit.
I was making pasta.
Ooh, nice.
I was buying it, actually.
I thought of a topic.
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Nico.
Toss it.
This is actually kind of a touchy topic.
Can I touch your head?
We're talking about restaurants. We're talking about front of the house. We're talking about back of the house. The respect of the front of the house to the back of the house and vice versa.
Ooh, barracuda.
When it comes down to executing, a restaurant full of customers, tickets are flying. Who has the right of say, per se? Like, who's right? The front of the house when it comes to the situation, or the back of the house when it comes to the situation?
I mean, is there really an answer to that?
Oh, there is an answer.
You could go and talk about it for hours as well. I feel like if there's a problem from a customer, it falls upon the customer. The customer is now, you have to take care of the customer. So when a server goes to the back of the house, says, I need this. And let's say the back of the house says, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, they're
It's all
affected.
about communication.
Communication. So when you're super busy, super busy in the back, super busy in the front, who's got the right of way?
The kitchen.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, the kitchen controls everything.
They
because
control the
if they
flow.
don't deliver the food, you're screwed.
Okay.
And you're out there, your face is in their face, and you're like being battered by your customer. And you're like, I'm working on it, the kitchen, blah, 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 whatever excuse you give. You go back in the kitchen.
You blame
Whoever
the
the
kitchen?
cook is
You just blame the kitchen, even if
Yes,
it's your fault?
I will stand by the fact that I blame the kitchen, because the kitchen does not have to talk to them. I do. Oh, yeah. And it's not even about the tip anymore, because it's so emotionally draining when somebody's upset with you. You take it personally, and you're trying not to, and you're trying to understand where they're coming from. You want them to understand where you're coming from. It is a nightmare.
Yeah, and when the kitchen's being an asshole,
Yes.
and they don't care about you because they know that you're making more money than they are, and they're
100
in the back
degrees in the back.
slaving in the heat and whatnot.
They have you by the balls. You
They
have
do.
no choice with them.
So where's the line? Like, how do you fix that? How do you make it seem to like there's no problems in the restaurant itself, because it's affecting the restaurant overall as a whole, but you got dicks in the back of the kitchen who don't care. They really don't care. Not all of them, but but it falls down on the customer now, and you're trying everything in the front of the house to make sure that they understand it's the customer who has to be coddled and made sure they're having a good experience and whatnot. But they're just being a bunch of assholes in the back, and it also goes the other way around.
I'm new to this, having a brand new restaurant kind of thing.
Welcome, Matt Smith.
Yeah, hey,
Welcome.
how you doing?
Tell us your problems.
No problems, baby. Just solutions. I'm fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
no crying in the
But
kitchen.
when I say communication, there needs to be mutual respect and a culture built in already. Because if that chips away, as a owner, I have to take a time out. You're being children. You have to respect each other. And I understand that you're sweating your balls off in the kitchen and you're getting bombarded by a customer. The employee, the front of house needs to come to me. I'll deal with the customer. Come to me with the ticket. I'll explain to the kitchen. I'll be that middleman. That's why I like being hands-on.
Yeah, but what if you're not there?
If I'm not there, there has to be that culture,
He's
that
never there.
building
He's a 5-month-old.
mutual respect. And we do have a bell.
Is there a bell?
We do a bell.
Who's more important to you?
Without the
cook,
kitchen,
the cook that's been there for 10 years, or the server that's been there for 10 years?
the cook. The cook.
Well, is that a question?
No,
know.
the cook.
That's tough.
I
I'm just
say
trying to think like that's
because
where-
it's kind of obvious to me, and I would think to you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't work in a
I
restaurant.
semi-disagree with that. Like, I feel
So
like
you're a
they're
server
both
person.
equally important, because if you have somebody that shows up all the time for you 10 years, no matter what position they play, that is somebody that you care about. And at some point, maybe as an owner, manager, whatever your role is, you have to step in, sit them down and remind them that neither of them have a job if we don't please these customers.
Now, this was your past summer. You were in the kitchen.
I
for
was the
first time.
owner and cooking, and
Yeah.
I've never cooked. I've always been front of
Now,
the
how
house.
does that relate to your prior experience of not being in the kitchen to now, where you spent a summer in the kitchen with the customers right there staring
I mean,
at
an
you,
open kitchen where they can watch me.
stare at you?
I'll
Does
tell
that
you
change
what.
a little bit now?
So no, And I'll say this,
She says,
my very first job,
She says,
my very first job, like real job, I was 14. I was a busser in a breakfast place in Ocean City, New Jersey. And my owner, who just sold the place last year, he's been there all this time, him and his wife. He was a cook, a chef, or whatever you want to call him, an owner. And he was a complete maniac.
Was he Greek?
Nope. But I still fully respect him because to this day, he made me thick-skinned. And I mean, like I seen this man take a baseball bat and knock a phone off a wall in a kitchen because somebody messed up an order. He was a nut. But in my head, this is what restaurants were. And I've always worked in restaurants. It's been over 25, 30 years almost at this point, from 14 till now, 28. I've always experienced that in the kitchen. The kitchen is volatile. The servers have to go in there, deal with it, come back out and put on a happy face. And I've dropped a tray before. And came back and was like, that ticket was like a 40-minute wait and I lost all the food. Can you please help me? And they're like, Jesus, Leah, what the fuck? And you're like, I'm so sorry. But like, that's part of the culture. So I think working in restaurants, you just got to be thick-skinned because you're going to get it from this side and you're going to get it from this side. But I think everybody involved should be working together to keep the business afloat.
Yeah, that's called
Agreed.
McDonald's.
But
It's called McDonald's.
I absolutely agree with
restaurants.
that. But I'm getting 5 o'clock in the morning phone calls from who? Servers calling always. And what's that culture built? Fine coverage. I can't. It's 5 a.m.
You know what I like about my kitchen? They can get so fucking drunk.
They can
still
sleep in the
show up.
kitchen.
They
always
still
show up. Your kitchen
and they
always shows
still
up.
Pump it out.
Yeah.
But they don't have $300 nights like servers or $500 nights like servers.
Yeah, that's
the
where
servers-
the money
They
comes
depend
from.
on their salary. So they show up where a server's like, I had a great night. I ain't
Shot,
coming in
shot,
tomorrow.
shots, and then the next
that
day.
comes back to the respect thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I have a phenomenal server, but she is such a bitch to the kitchen.
Oh,
That's not okay.
no, it's not okay.
And then it builds animosity and whatnot. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? Why are you so angry? Well, they're mean to me. No, you're mean to them. That's what it is. Don't yell at them.
Yeah.
Just put your ticket. That's all you do. And don't come in and ask to eat right away. Do some work. Then they'll probably feed you. But
And like you said, like this year, I got a chance to see what it feels like to be a cook in a kitchen. And when you have all these tickets hanging, and I mean, look at me, right? I'm over there, my hair up in a bun. I'm
Get a
dripping
Leonce.
sweat. I'm chopping cheesesteaks, onions, quesadillas, etc. And I mean, somebody put in something wrong, or the ticket isn't written right, and I make the wrong thing. Now I got to remake it. I'm backed up. I now have an understanding for that high pressure. I mean, I had it anyway from the bar, but that high pressure situation where, you know, they're waiting for food, they're mad at you, but they messed up, so you're mad at them, and you're just like, what are we doing here? Like, is this ever going to end? Somebody help
So
me.
that's where the customer has to come first over all the differences. But I can also understand in the back of the house, you know, you're busy and your server sucks and they keep screwing up and they forgot to put in an order, you know, like you said, something 40 minutes. It takes
I need
forever.
this on the fly.
No
And
mushrooms.
you're like,
And they're
no.
like the perfect
I have all
cheesesteak.
these other checks. I have no
No
room.
mushrooms.
What do you want me to do? And it causes more chaos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then on top of it, what else you just brought is about the back of the house cooking for the front of the house, right? How often do you know about the front of the house offering drinks to the back of the house? You know what I'm
Too
saying?
much.
Every
Does that
night at the
happen?
end, I used to, in my old places I worked, like mom and pop shops, they come out, the kitchen came out, we gave them beers. Like it wasn't a question. The owner actually said, give them what they want.
Correct.
So they'd be back there cleaning and chugging Coronas. And
Why
you know,
gotta
that's
be
part of the
Corona?
culture. Well, that's usually what they liked. But, you know, whatever it was.
Colt 45.
Heinekens.
I mean, I had people drinking
zigzags.
Pabst Blue
Baby, that's
Ribbon, but
all
I'm
we
just
need.
saying, like, whatever it is they wanted, they give the kitchen a 6-pack. I'm like, okay, just give it to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
No.
I've
I'm sorry, Nico. Go ahead.
no. You know
The
what?
floor is yours.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I've been in many restaurants and I've worked in them and I've
You were.
owned a few. And you know, one thing that I do notice is that the cooks will always cook for the front of the house, for the servers, for the busters, even. But I've never seen, you know, servers or busters asking the kitchen, would you like a cup of coffee? Would you like something to drink? I know it's hot back there, you know, because a lot of places aren't open kitchens; they're closed.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
think-
I've always done it. Some of these people
Yeah.
just aren't thinking about people in general.
and I've always kind of put that into my businesses, you know, and future asks and whatnot, saying, "Hey, listen, take care of your kitchen as well."
Beautiful culture to build. That's
You got to keep
have
the fluid just smooth. You just got to keep a good relationship, because when the servers are offering their time to help them, give them something to drink or whatnot, that's a respect that the kitchen's going to see the front of the house now. Like, oh, they're offering this, a cup of coffee here, blah, 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 blah. And that's what it needs to be. You know what I mean? Because it's crazy world in the restaurant field. It's both are busy. And I think that the back of the house has it really hard.
That's what she said.
Very hard.
But the back of the house doesn't think the front has it really hard because they're making all this money. But the front of the house has to deal with the customers.
Yes.
The
like,
obnoxiousness and whatnot.
Oh,
the
servers crying
crazy
all over the
drunks
place.
here and there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't have this money or this is not what I asked for. And there has to be fluidity, in my opinion.
On the other side of it, the server's scared to go in the kitchen because Tough Tony back here is yelling at you about whatever.
Big
so
T.
then you're like, excuse me, I'm really sorry, but I needed fries instead of potatoes, or you know what I mean? And then the kitchen's like, oh, Jesus, and throwing stuff. And you're like, I'm so sorry. It's like, it's one of those, it's a toxic environment on either side.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to make money and you're just trying to get through your day. And I feel like the mutual level of respect isn't always there. I mean, it happens in the bar as well. I work the front bar and I also serve 2 servers every night of the week. And I mean, she'll ring it in wrong or she'll type it a little weird or whatever happens. I make the drink and she's like, this isn't what it says. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is what you wrote.
Please.
Now you're in the same situation. Now I'm the cook. She's the server. She's yelling at me. I'm yelling at her. I also now have customers in front of me and you're going back and forth like, relax. Because at the end of the night, we're going to go do shots together and laugh like nothing ever happened. But that's part of the culture of restaurants and bars. And you're like, can't we just be friends all the time? Can't you remember to be respectful when we're working and not yell at me because your person's yelling at you?
Yeah.
It's just,
There has to be a respect from
overwhelming.
both sides. There has to be.
Get me hyped thinking about
You
it.
can't have a
Even from
restaurant.
bartender to server, the servers have to be subservient.
Right?
The bartenders have more power. You can cut somebody off. You can be like, I don't want to.
With great power becomes great responsibility.
That becomes great
But
responsibility.
same time, me and my
Comes with
one server have had this conversation.
Comes on.
I care about serving her in a
Yeah.
timely manner and giving her what she asked for because I know that what I'm doing is helping her livelihood.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not allowing, but I'm helping her to make money. So I know that everything I do for her is for her own money outside of what our relationship is.
Saint Leonce.
And it should be the same with
also,
servers and
I mean,
and cooks.
That's good. And that's how it should be. But it should always be for the customer.
Well, the customer
And-
comes back to that server. That server coming to the cook to get the food gives the cook a job. So
That
it's a
cook, that's
what I'm
chain
saying.
of people and
I
give
feel
and
like
take.
people shouldn't be thinking about it for themselves. Like, you know, what you were saying about I'm helping her for her to make money. Yeah, that's great. But you're helping her make the customer happy enough to come back.
Well, a lot of people don't feel that way. Like a lot of service bartenders, like, I don't want to be on service. Like it's like a lower position to be. But at the same time, if you're the one person making drinks for everybody in the room, that's a very important role. So you should be aware that you're helping the whole place thrive. You're helping this person make money and you're pleasing your customers. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that as chefs, cooks, and service bartenders.
Yeah.
It's a long chain of command that overall you're just trying to please a group of people so they come back and the business continues
On the
to
same
grow.
mind as like chain of command, we're all fighting the same war. And if you have that same goal and helping your fellow soldier,
Yes.
that's if you as an employer or whatever have that goal, have that vision, and everybody can fight for it, that's the best place to be.
That's beautiful. That's
It's a really good way to
I have
end
a
it.
tear.
I'm very proud of you.
I like to say we are family.
I got all my sisters.
I got it.
Oh,
I
okay,
knew why you were
brothers.
so good in the kitchen, Leah.
All
Or
right.
Leonce.
And
Wait,
on that note,
wait.
Nah.
When she was cooking, she was singing all the single yitos, all the single yitos, all the single yitos, all
With
the
iceberg lettuce.
And Nico's like,
all right,
speaking of war, the war on gluten.
well, that was a good topic, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I'm Nikos.
George.
Maddie Smith.
Leah and
Till next time, everyone.
Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.